Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Yes, yes, yes. My little meditation. I like to share that with people. Alexa, turn music off. So, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Carol. Yes, when you hear this voice, you should be up. You should have your coffee going. You'd be like, what is going on today? What is going on today? So, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Carol. Yes, yes, yes. I just had my morning meditation, just had some music playing. So I'm gonna wait for a few people to get on in here. And so I don't have to do too much repeating. And today is Thursday, October 24th. We didn't urge it in a new little zodiac season called Scorpio, right? I got a few of those in my life. I had a few in my life that was in there. I had a few that left. But welcome. But welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's the story of my life. Somebody always leaving me. But it's okay. Jesus will never leave me. So it's all right. It's all right. It's always right. Somebody always stop talking, stop communicating, fellowshipping, and all other kind of stuff. But guess what? It's okay. It's okay. It perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine. I'm in that era of you do you, so I can do me. And it's all right. It is okay. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Carol. Welcome. I'm going to say something here. Um, Today is Thursday. You thought it. I said it Thursday. I did receive a inbox on yesterday on a topic that we could probably use to explore and go into, which we do talk about forgiveness a lot because that's something that is often overlooked, I think, with a lot of people when you go into triggers and traumas and things of that nature. When you go into those things, and I'm not talking about some real deep stuff, but even when you think about that, and you think you want to reach out to a professional, um I was gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Yes, I did sneeze. That is a sneeze. Don't y'all laugh. So when you if you feel you need to reach out to a professional, let me just remind people that I am not a professional therapist. I am one who has experienced things, and I have tips and just thought-provoking engagement to help one in everyday life and situations. But if you feel like your situation or your circumstance, or you feel like you need some help, I am one to say to you, if you think you need professional therapy, a professional that has went to school, has practiced that, then I would suggest that's what you do. Okay, so today is Thursday. You thought it, I said it, Thursdays. So I did receive an inbox yesterday, and this is what it said. It said, how many times do you get to forgive yourself for the same actions. The inbox said, we talk about forgiveness often, but are you apologizing for the same thing over and over again? And I think the person was saying for them to yourself. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I love my therapist. I love mine too. I love mine too. I really do. And when I need to talk to her, I talk to her. And so in talking about, when I thought about this, when I got it yesterday, I started reading on some things. And I started reading on some things to see where we go. But I want to read this to you guys. So remember I told you guys I read my devotional? Remember I told y'all that? And I said, I don't know how often I'm going to do this. I'm going to just do it whenever the spirit umpts me to move it. How about that? When it say go, I go. All right. And so yesterday's inbox kind of aligns sort of with what we're talking about today. It kind of has some things in there. So I said to myself, should I read it today? And I wasn't really sure. But I'm going to. I'm gonna read it into your hearing. Okay. It comes from Genesis 3:6. The woman saw that the tree was good for food, pleasant to the eyes, and desirable. All right. So we're talking about Eve. All right. This devotion today says, good morning. Good morning, sis. This devotion says, live by obedience, not emotion. I am one of those people that always say, don't be emotional, because emotional change. You be mad today, sad tomorrow. Emotions, we be all over the place with our emotions. Okay. Sometimes. All right. So that devotion says this: live by obedience, not emotion. It says this, and I'm going to read it kind of fast because I want to get to our topic. All right. And it kind of has something to do with the topic. And so it says, emotions have a tone that we call feeling. And the tone of feeling is very strong. Most of us realize how we feel. We make decisions driven by feeling. Relationships are established or damaged because of feeling. Seeing what felt good, enjoyable, and to be desired is what led Eve to be disobedience. The Bible does not say she was hungry. Otherwise, she would have eaten of every other tree in the Garden of Eden. Emotional trauma in the first woman opened the door to emotional trauma in all of us. So it's genetic. And emotions require satisfaction. All right. Anger, hurt, and love want to be established. If we do not rule ourselves, we live in the drama of emotions gone bad. To be a born again Christian whose emotions have not been touched by God is an insufficient lifestyle. God must do a work in us called transformation. All right. Emotions must be renewed so that the hate turns into love, cursing to blessing, resentment to forgiveness, anger to peace, and heaviness to praise. Transformed by God's word and his spirit, we're released from the trauma and chaos our emotions can produce. When we're driven by our emotions, we want a feel-good mentality. But Eve teaches us that the feel-good mentality is a terrible motivator and leads us into trouble. Our lives must be motivated by the Holy Spirit, and his motivation is not just to create good feelings. His aim is to produce obedience. Obedience will always surpass emotion, and obedience will always satisfy in ways that emotions will never be able to. And so when I read that, I was like, this is right on point with what the inbox said. It said, how many times do you get to forgive yourself for the same actions? How many times? Now, after you think about how many times do you get to forgive yourself, then it says, we talk about forgiveness often. But if you apologize for the same thing over and over, are you really forgiving yourself? Are you really forgiving yourself? So I took the time to look up some things, read over some things, and here's what I came up with. First off, how many times do you get to forgive yourself for the same mistake over and over again? I say, now this is me and my opinion, okay? After I didn't read, study, I say as many times as you need to. There's a scripture in the Bible that says this: you forgive your brother 7 times 7, just multiple times. So I feel like you can forgive yourself as many times as need be for mistakes, for even the same mistake. You have to, first of all, take responsibility. Okay. Accept what happened. Whatever's going on, you have to accept it. All right. That's the first thing. So how many times do you accept what happened. I think sometimes if the same mistake is being made over and over, you haven't made an exception. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I think. You have to accept it. Accept what happened, okay? All right? Show yourself some compassion, all right? Accept what happened, all right? Then you have to have some remorse. You have to use that guilt and that remorse to propel positivity. Don't stay in the same spot. Don't dwell in that just because you know that something happened or a circumstance or a situation came about. Okay. Then it says these are the responsibility, remorse. Then you have restoration. All right. You have to make amends with yourself or whomever. Make amends with yourself. And here's the thing about it. If we're talking about ourselves and we've made these same mistakes over and over, we have to forgive ourselves. We have to talk to yourself about it. Amend yourself. Okay. You have to say to yourself, I'm sorry. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Good morning, Ms. DeBose. You have to forgive yourself in order to be restored. Okay. Make amends with yourself. And if it's with somebody else, make amends with them. If they're not talking to you, still make amends with them. And if they're not saying anything to you, you can't find where they are or whatever, you can still ask for forgiveness. You may not be directly, it may be indirectly, but guess what? You tried. So you have to forgive yourself. Okay. And then you have to renew yourself. You have to learn from your experience or that situation or that circumstance. Okay. You have to learn from it. All right. We have to learn from our experiences. All right. Don't forget when you're learning from your experience, it's not what you call it, like a banner over you where everybody knows that this mistake happened and you're feeling shame or anything. It's just a learning experience. Everybody has a learning way. Remember what I say here. I don't like the word loss. I don't like the word we took a L. I just don't agree with it. Me and this microphone ain't getting along today, but I don't agree with it and I don't like it. I don't like that word. I feel like either you win or you learn. That's the L I like. Okay. All right. I don't like loser. And I understand in sportsmanship, you have losses and things like that. But I feel like, guess what? Either you win or you learn. That's it. That's all. I don't think you take a loss. You either win or you learn. All right. So today we're talking about how many times do you get to forgive yourself? For the same thing. I think it's not a scarlet letter. No, it's not a scarlet letter. We do not have the A walking around. And if anybody is into Game of Thrones like I was, and one of the parts of the movie, she had to walk down the thing of shame and everybody throwing water at her. It's not like that. Okay. You get to forgive yourself however many times you need to forgive yourself. All right. You get to do that. Again, we're learning from our experiences. And here's another thing we have to do too, when you're talking about, yes, Sister Dugga. Yes, no losses, just lessons. When you're talking about how many times do you get to forgive yourself for the same thing, we have to remember this. We have to try to interrupt negative thoughts. Yes, turn those lessons into blessings. I agree with you, Sister Duggar. Turn those lessons into blessings. And we have to interrupt those negative thoughts. Those thought patterns come in there to start to try to pull you down. And so you have to interrupt those negative thoughts. Think of something else. Read a book, go for a walk, disrupt that negative thinking. Because guess what? At the end of the day, everybody makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. Do we make the same mistakes? Sometimes we do. But guess what? I've always been taught this. My mother used to say this all the time. If you keep going through the same thing, you ain't learned your lesson yet. That's what she's told me. If you keep going through the same thing, you ain't learned your lesson yet. So guess what? Maybe we should get to learning so that we don't have to go through it. There you go. Learn what you need to learn so you don't have to go through it. Because if you keep going through the same thing, and you know it too. You know how you go through, you be like, man, didn't I just go through this again? Why am I going through this again? You got to learn a lesson in it. A lesson is to be learned in it. And here's the thing. We don't need to repeat. But we do. But it's okay. So when it comes to how many times do you get to forgive yourself for the same actions, I feel like as many times as it needs to be forgiven, because you should never hold yourself hostage to your mistakes. You should never hold your uh self hostage. You know what we need to do? We need to disconnect. We need to disconnect the mistake from your identity. Okay? Because guess what? The mistake is not who you are. It's something that happened. And I think that's where a lot of people get mixed up too. All right? The mistake is not who you are, it's something that happened. So you have to learn how to disconnect that mistake from your identity. Sister Pooh says, I do believe that there needs to be an intention to learn from your mistakes. Yes. And we talked about that yesterday. Intentionality. It does need to be an intention to learn from it. For me, I would say that when I go through things, have I been through things multiple times? I have. But when I go through certain things, and now that I'm older, yes, turn those lessons into blessings, Sister Doug. I don't know if I think I said that. It looked like it just popped up again. But I have been through things, and I've learned this. This is one thing I've learned. That when you intentionally apply the lesson to your life, intentionally apply it, then you see a difference, not only in things, but you see a difference in you. And I think that's what the most important thing is that we take away from today, is that you see a difference in you. You see a difference in you. Because that's what happens when you make a mistake and you forgive yourself. You disconnect from that mistake. You know it's not you. It's not your identity. It's just something that happened. And you intentionally learn from it. You intentionally are applying the things that can be applied to it. Guess what? You see a difference in you. You see a difference in you. That's just like even if you're apologizing for something to somebody else, you see a difference in you. If you genuinely know, I hurt this person's feelings, I did this or I did that. You genuinely know this. You see a difference. Sister Pooh says, maybe not being held to the fire is also a difference in how many times you make the same error of judgment. Yeah, because some people can't hold you to the fire. And here's what I say to that. Sometimes people are going to hold you to the fire. Sometimes growth. Sister DeBose said growth. Yep, I agree with you, Mr. DeBose, growth. Sometimes people will hold you to the fire. They will. But here's the thing you have to remember. Everybody is not the same, and we all are not at the same level. Everybody's on a different path, and your growth path is different too. You know how like you have some people who are tall and some people who are short? So everybody's different in this game of life when it comes to a journey of healing and growing. And that's why I always say the whole man, because people a lot of times say, I'm going to heal from this and I'm healed from that, but you got to heal mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. I feel like if you really do. That's just me now. Now we all got opinions. My one good brother always say opinions are like buttholes. Everybody got one. But I'm just saying that when it comes to it, we all are on different pathways. And so people are going to hold you to the fire. People going to hold you to it. Some people hold you to a lot of stuff. And that's what we talk about a lot. And that's why I say a lot of times you are not who your past is, because some people like to hold you to that too. But if you knew me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I probably was wild and crazy, said some crazy stuff, did some crazy things. But guess what? 2021 and 2022 and 2023, that's what this is. 2024, we going into 2025. If you still thinking I'm the same person back then, that's you holding yourself to the fire. Yeah, maybe not being held to you, but you know what? I'm gonna tell you about Sister Pooh said holding yourself to the fire. I'm one of those ones. I'm a big critic of myself. I criticize myself, I think, more than anybody. And I hold myself to the fire more than anybody too. Sometimes more than I need to. Yeah. I will woe over something, especially if I feel like, now why won't a person But you guess what I found out? Can't do that either. Because people are going to move on their own time. People are going to do what they're going to do. So it doesn't matter how much I hold myself to the fire either. That the error of judgment. Yep, holding yourself to the fire. Yep. So you can hold yourself to the fire, and guess what? Holding yourself to the fire don't mean you're not gonna do it again either, because you might. But implementing that intentionality of learning and doing different, that will happen. But holding yourself to the fire, for me, I know I'm one of those ones. I'll put it that way for me. Sister DeBow says growth. Sister Duggar says got to turn those losses, no losses, just lessons, and turn those lessons into blessings. So how many times do you get to forgive yourself for the same actions we talk about? How many times do we get to forgive ourselves? I say as many times as you need, but I say this as well. Take these tips, take these points that we made today and use them in the next situation that you get in, and see where it goes from there. Because again, we all make mistakes, and we all that part. Yes, sister Pooh, that part. And we all might hold ourselves to the fire, or other people might hold us to the fire. But guess what? It is what it is. And I say this, when it comes to forgiving yourself, the 4 R's that I like to talk about, and I already went over them, is responsibility, remorse, restoration, and renewal. And I'm going to say this too. I watched a clip, and it's an old clip of Michelle Obama. I don't know how old it is, but she was saying this. She said she tells her girls that you have to practice who you want to be. You have to practice who you want to be. And she was saying, if you practice getting up late and always late and getting up late, you're going to be a late person. She said, if you practicing trifling and doing trifling things, you're going to be trifling. So you have to practice who you want to be, because you're getting older. And as we get older, and we make mistakes and we go through life, this is this is the person that we are becoming. So what I mean by that is, when you think about how many times you're going to forgive yourself, you got to forgive yourself for some of the things that you probably were practicing early on. And so it's embedded in you, and now it's time for a change. You got to forgive yourself for that. Maybe you were practicing to be a brat, or maybe you were practicing to be that other word, the BITCH word. Maybe you were practicing to be that. But you know what? Just because you were practicing to be that, and your actions may say that, you can forgive yourself and be anew. Again, disconnect that mistake from your identity, because it ain't who you are, and become who you really are called to be. Okay. I really do. I did like that. That was this inbox that I got today on You Thought It, I Said It Thursdays. How many times do you get to forgive yourself for the same actions? As many times as need be. But take those tips and those points that we made today and use them. All right. Responsibility, accept it, remorse, use it to propel positivity, restore, make amends with yourself, and then renew. Learn from your experience. Remember, interrupt negative thoughts, and then disconnect the mistake from your identity. All right. Disconnect it from your identity. And what did Sister Pooh say? She said, don't hold yourself to the fire. All right. Sister Duggar said, no losses, just lessons. Turn those lessons into blessings. And Sister Renee DeBow said growth. That's what we have here today, people. I'm going to leave you with this affirmation. And it says this: it is hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed. It's hard to fail. It's hard. But it's even worse if we never have tried to succeed. Okay. So what is that saying to us? That means that we're going to put our best foot forward and keep it moving. I had a teacher that used to say nothing beats a failure but to try. All right. So you got to try to do it. That means just go ahead and do it like Nike. Just do it. All right. Thank you guys for joining me on today. Remember to live, love, never ever stop laughing. Always find room to forgive. Well, I would say use the answer that God gave to Peter. 70 times 7, if that's what he tells us for others, I would think that it also applies to us. Yes, and I had mentioned that 7 times 7. That is so right, Sister Duggar. You know what? That's what he told him, 70 times 7. So if you're using it for that, use it for this. And that's what I say. But I thank you guys for joining me on today. Every day. I really do. I appreciate the engagement. Coffee in Conversations appreciates the engagement. I want you guys to have a good day. And like I said, live, love, never ever stop laughing. Always find room to forgive because none of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. And then I want to remember one love. We need some love in the building. Love on your loved ones. A lot of people are losing people, and I see it all every day. And I'm just telling people, mend those fences, mend those relationships, and love on your people because you never know. Love on your people. All right. You guys have a great day, a great Thursday, and I will see you all tomorrow, 8:30 sharp. Coffee and Conversations with Carol is out.